have any of
Ninjas
them.
have captured the president. Are you bad enough to stop the ninjas
I had
and
Duke
rescue
Nukem
the
64
president?
and I got rid of it recently. All right. Okay. Hi, I'm Dan,
Well, boy, I'm Matt.
and this is Nerd Dump. And this is the second half to our top 10 favorite video games of all time.
Ever.
And we're going to start it off right this time by starting at number 5 and working our way up to number 1.
So now we're counting upwards.
Last video we went from 6 to 10. This time we're going from 5.
It makes sense
One.
if you really dig into it, okay?
Yeah. But I guess we'll have Matt start us off
All right.
with his
All right.
number 5.
At number 5, all-time favorite things I've ever found that I genuinely can revisit, enjoy, and replay. Infamous. PS3.
Infamous.
We've talked about this in previous videos.
Yes. Matt was to convince me to play it.
I'll be real, I'll stand by it. I feel like if you haven't played the game, it's really worth a look. It's underestimated and underrated. I think it's a phenomenal character set and story. It tells itself well, and it's just really, really fun to play. Plus powering up and building your stealth up, it pays off. Powers are just really cool. Infamous.
I don't really have much to add because I haven't played it, obviously. I need to get a copy of it
Infamous.
first.
Electricity
My number 5
is infamous.
is Metroid Prime for the GameCube. The very first Metroid Prime game.
Which you tried to tell me about playing.
Yes, I did. Hey,
did.
we're going over old stuff now.
Oh, man.
The first 3D Metroid game and their foray into first person. And not first person, people like to go first person shooter. It's a first person adventure. It really is. It was a great game, albeit a lot of backtracking, which was annoying. But that was, expected in a Metroid game. Maybe not, they didn't know how to do it in their first foray into 3D, but there you go.
Wow, doesn't that sound swell?
He hasn't played it.
No,
I
I
imagine
know,
you have
I
anything to say
know.
about
I'm
it.
getting there.
Why don't you go ahead with your number 4?
Number 4. This one was tough to place on the list because I think for a lot of people that grew up with our generation of games, this one has a special place in our hearts. But Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, it's a tough one to place. I loved this game almost more than anything else I'd ever played before it when I discovered it, and even to now, to this day, it holds up really well. Playing it from start to finish, I have not played it that many
It's another
times.
story.
It's a big game, but again, it's got so much reward for effort if you're willing to put in the work, and the game makes that reward feel worth it too.
Yeah.
So a lot of fetch quest, but
Zelda's the first 3D Zelda game. That'll always be near and dear to my heart as well.
hey, listen.
Well, you know what? Matt, actually, he loves The Legend of Zelda. He's not, I guess, the biggest Zelda fan, though.
Alia's not in it, but
No, but I'm saying Matt hasn't played the most annoying companion one yet. Navi, which is probably annoying to him.
Hey!
He's never played Skyward Sword,
Listen!
the original Wii version of Skyward Sword. So
I haven't.
you need to play that sometime.
I've seen people
'cause you'll-
play it.
You'll love Navi after that game.
I've seen you play it.
Yeah. My number 4 is an old NES game called Kirby's Adventure.
Okay, really going old school there.
Oh, I've played that game so many times. I've got it still.
Nice.
I know the first Kirby game was on the Game Boy, but this one was released very late in the NES's
Yeah.
time. I think the Super Nintendo was already out. when
Late
this came out.
80s, early 90s.
It was early
For
90s.
the NES, yeah.
Yeah, no, they were still releasing games for the NES when the Super Nintendo was already out.
You know what? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
this is one of those games. Super Nintendo was already out. I believe this is 93 or
Ninja Turtles.
something like that. Maybe 94. This game was out.
Okay.
But
Wow.
it's just a fun game. It's not hard. It's just fun, relaxing. Take Kirby and puff up and fly through the levels. Or gain powers by swallowing enemies.
I never managed to beat the Lion King on Super Nintendo. I'm sorry.
But that's all I have to say about Kirby, Matt.
So, you might agree with this one.
I think I might.
My number 3, Super Smash Bros. 64. Unpopular opinion, apparently. I like that one more than the sequels by a large distance.
Me too.
I like the sequels, but there's something about the control and mechanics of the original 64 game that has the characters' strength and speed attributes and everything seems kind of disjointed, but in a good way. The characters all handle very differently, and even their attack abilities and everything handle so differently. But for such a small cast that you can play as, such a small
12.
number of
12 characters.
and that's after you've unlocked them.
Yeah.
You think you start with the basic 8.
Yeah.
Only a few level selections.
Little interesting fact: Metroid's only, or Samus's only appearance on the 64.
Yeah, I mean, like, the scale of everything in the game is much more compact, but there's so many ways to arrange and change the conditions of stuff. I think, at least between us, it has to be one of the most played games, at least for me, that I've ever played. Like, it's debatable.
We
but
still get together and play that
it's
game.
not a very long campaign if you do it that way, but just sheer enjoyment of playing it, like, with another person. You can go for hours at this game.
This is what Matt does. Every time we play another Smash Bros. Game that's not 64, he picks up the controller and selects Link every time, and then he says the first minute of the game, this one doesn't handle like the 64
It just,
version.
for me, it doesn't. I'm
not making fun of that. You say that every
the
single
controls
time.
and animations, they change a lot with Melee and
Brawl.
I just...
And then the Wii U version.
But something about it, the control and the style just doesn't feel as natural as the 64 does,
The
but
Link-
people disagree with me
The
about
Link
that.
they have out now for Ultimate is nothing like the original one in handling or...
And it's all good to expand on stuff. I don't know, that old one will always have, like, the best playability for me. So, that was another tough one to place on the list.
Yeah.
But since it's based on a multiplayer experience and how far your friend can throw your controllers, if they... But, you know, that's where it doesn't rank a little higher. But I felt like it would be unjust to not have it in the top 3. So, sorry. Anyway, your number 3, good sir.
Well, my number 3 is your number 4, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Good call.
Again, to reiterate, one of my all-time favorite games, obviously.
The Water Temple.
Well, actually, in the remake on the 3DS version, the Iron Boots are no longer a pause the game and select thing. They're actually put in your items list so that you can just...
I haven't played that updated version.
It's faster.
I've actually only ever played the original in all its glory.
I'm gonna have to let you borrow a 3DS and the remake, and you'll have to play it.
I've heard good things about it.
It's more streamlined.
Okay.
Yeah. They did some things, and obviously it's a 2 screen, so you can select your stuff down
You
here.
can
without
save
pausing.
as often as you want, so I liked that.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Matt.
Hey, listen. So my number 2, another tough one to place for me, and I've talked about this game on the channel before. God Hand, PS2, Capcom and Mikami working together. Another gem that came from that, but seemingly people have hilariously not heard of this game. It's a deep book in the library of the PS2. Worth playing, criminally underestimated and underrated.
And hard to get a hold of now.
It is, but it is so worth playing. Again, it's a game that's never gotten a remake, never gotten a remaster.
In the video we did where we talked about that, I think there was a couple people that commented about the game.
It's so good.
This is the first time I ever heard of it was
It
from you
is
that
so
night.
good. And it's funny.
Yeah. I haven't played it yet.
And it's
obviously.
questionable with a lot of jokes too, so I think you'd probably like it.
Good. I like that kind of humor that you can't do anymore.
It's funny. There's some great stuff there.
Alright. My number 2, and this is a game I think everybody knows about, and by the way, my most played game ever is StarCraft. StarCraft for the PC.
Yeah.
I would love to have the StarCraft 64 copy, but it's a little up there in price.
StarCraft Brood Wars.
It's the only version of StarCraft, the original StarCraft, that's any different. Is the one they released for Nintendo 64, but or has some different stuff in it. Just a simple, you're basically, mining and all that stuff, building buildings and then building troops and support troops and ships and all kinds of stuff. It's up in space, and sometimes it's on a different planet. And there's the Terran, which are the humans, and the Zerg and the Protoss. 3 different races you can use in 3 different campaigns.
They
in
do
the
this with a
campaign
lot
mode.
of mobile games now.
Yeah.
That formula.
Well, that became very popular in the late 90s, especially. You had like Dominion. You already had Warcraft was out.
Yep.
Warcraft 1 and 2 and 3. And then StarCraft came out, and they had the Dominion, and you had I think Command and Conquer was another one.
Well, yeah, I think so.
There was a bunch of them. I can't think of all. Ages of Empires,
Civilizations.
yeah, stuff like that. There was a bunch of them. They just became real popular, and then they all just went.
Alien versus Predator Extinction.
Was that one?
It actually did play like that.
Oh, okay.
You started in a
Never played
thing,
that
and
game.
then you had to build all of your resources and amass everything to try to take the map from the opposing forces.
okay.
Yeah. I mean,
So anyways,
that was PS2.
Did you ever play StarCraft?
Yeah, a little bit. I
A
never
little
got
bit?
into it like that, but I did
Okay.
enjoy it. I actually still have a copy of it.
I do too.
It is a burned copy,
Oh, burn copy.
but I have Brood Wars, so pretty cool.
All right,
Yeah.
take it away, Matt.
All right, my number one, Dan. So, Resident Evil 4. Okay, this one. A lot of people
Matt's
love
crazy
this
about this
game.
game.
You know, I have played it from start to finish so many times, and on the PS2, on the PS3, and on the PS4. No, I did not play the GameCube version, nor have I played many other ports of the game.
I thought I let you borrow the GameCube to play that a long time ago.
I think so, but I don't think I played it.
When I got back from the Marines, didn't I let you borrow my GameCube to play it?
Maybe. I don't remember. I think that was for Zero.
Okay.
But 4 has its own stuff. We've talked about it too. It is such a well-crafted story and game. It always, like anything, there's little funny things about it sometimes, but you can't say it's the dialogue because the game knows it's being cheeky. And Leon is a guy who's disproportionately confident against what he is actually able to deliver with a joke. But he can back it up with his sass and athleticism. He's a great protagonist. The game handles itself so well. And I can't praise that game enough. I have replayed it so many times. And right now I'm going for that platinum. I'm trying to get a completionist thing on it on my 4.
Yeah.
I want to get all the trophies. So
4 is I remember buying 4 as I was about to get out of the Marines back in 2006 or 7, whenever it came out, or 2005. I purchased it, and I remember going, "Wow, this is amazing!" But I did not know this at the time. I didn't know that it was going to create 5 and 6, which I know you love. I hate.
I have reasons for that. We're gonna probably go into that in another
We'll go into
video.
that time. That game will always be like I loved it. I played it through. I think I played that one twice. I beat it, and I got the infinite rocket launcher, and I played it again.
That makes
And
there's
then
a
I
lot
erased-
of unlockables.
I erased the file though.
There's so many unlockables. Like the infinite launcher makes it a lot of fun. The what's it? The PRL 4. I can't remember what it's called, but it basically is a cannon
Yeah.
that targets the parasites. So, or the plagas. So you could clear a room in one shot. It will
Yeah.
literally target every enemy in one shot.
The only thing
amazing.
I don't like about the game is that, to me, in my opinion, and a lot of people were split on this game because it spelled the beginning of the action horror as opposed to survival horror for several games.
You have limitations of the old consoles, which is basically how we wound up with the camera angle designs and tank controls.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about risk reward.
Yeah,
That,
I mean,
that kind of went away in 4.
but that's because 4 didn't want to play too much on that because it was more linear of a game
Yeah, no.
overall.
But the enemies
So-
drop stuff. That's what the big difference.
Yeah,
The enemies sometimes drop stuff in the old ones if it was like a key or something.
the game just always handles so well.
Well,
I love
you're
it.
a Resident Evil completionist.
I really enjoy the challenge, and I don't know.
You unlock every mode, and then you unlock all the unlockables. You always do that with the Resident Evil
the
games.
characters, the story. I just get so immersed with, and I find it great. I find it fun.
You know? I'm going to go ahead and just get my number 1 out of the way, because we already talked about it in the last video, is Mega Man X.
It's a good number 1 though.
I love that. I think that's my second most played game ever. I've picked that game up, because I beat it, like an hour or something.
You can crank right through
Yeah.
it.
I'll just pick that game up, plug it in, and
But
just run
that's
through
not
it.
what it's about.
No, but I just
That's
love
how
it so
you
much.
Feel about it.
I love the game. I remember when it came out as a kid. It was my first friend I knew that beat the game. I didn't have it yet, and he had it, and I was over there, and he beat it, and I was just like, wow, And we drank a bunch of soda in celebration, and it's good memories with that game. I had a cousin who used to come over all the time, and I had he couldn't get past the first. Remember the introduction level?
Prologue
He couldn't get past that level, so I had the
with
code.
Vile.
Yeah, I had the code up for him taped on my wall so that he could just
Oh.
enter it and start off with the 8 bosses right off the
Did
bat.
anyone ever? Because that was the save system. You could get a code on the screen after completing something. You could write it down, and you could plug it back in later if you wanted to. If you wanted to skip ahead in the game.
But why would you want to save the game? It took like an hour to.
Well, I used to stay up like all night playing that game.
Oh.
I'd be hunting through. Once I figured out there were secret parts of levels holding secret items.
Oh, you're talking about way back when.
I was wandering in trying to like find these, like every level could have something.
I had a GamePro magazine.
Yeah.
That had all the stuff on it for the game. It was like a 3 or 4 page dedicated area to the game. He was on the cover of this one, and it just had all the maps laid out on all everything and showed you where all the secrets were. And I had gotten that magazine before I ever got the game, so it kind of. And I'd already seen that magazine, so it took me very short time to get through the game. But
Mega Man
I
X.
still love it. I can't get it. I think it's got the best music out of any Mega Man game in it.
Mega Man X7.
You got any? We had some struggles with our top 10 list.
We had some honorable mentions.
Yeah.
So these were genuinely hard to not put on the list, but there's a reason for it. So.
Because we like things in tens.
I'm gonna try to keep this short. How many honorable mentions do you have?
I have 2. You have 2.
I'm adding a third one.
Okay.
But it's okay.
What is it?
So I'm gonna go ahead and say my first honorable mention. There's no order to these.
Yeah.
Dino Crisis, PS1.
I'm surprised that's not on your top 10.
I struggled with it because I sincerely love this game so much, but there are things about it. I just recently replayed it and beat it again before getting this list done.
Yeah.
Like I literally beat it a few days ago.
Nice.
I still love it. It holds up so well to me. There's so much about the game that's, again, this is a whole other thing. Working on a separate video, why it deserves all the modernization.
That's coming in the future. We're going to be doing a video on Dino Crisis.
But like, there are some things with the puzzles and the pacing that are problematic to like wanting to replay it right away. Like, I need a break from it for a while before I come back. And I'm replaying it, I remembered that. So I have a place in my heart for that game constantly. But that's partially why I didn't make that top 10. What were yours?
All right. Well, you know, okay. My first one's F-Zero X.
Okay.
That's the
Racing.
64 game. Yeah, a racing game. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you why it's one of my favorite games, and it almost made my top 10 list.
I used to rent it a lot.
I have it. I had it back in the day when that was one of the first games I had for my 64. I don't know why I like it so much. I like the music in it. I like the announcer. 3, 2, 1, go. I liked everything about that game. And it's just a simple racing game.
I can only remember Mario Kart's Countdown. Oh man.
Yeah. I don't have much to say about that. Go ahead, Matt.
So my other one, this is a controversial one. The reason I say that is because of the internet the last year or so.
Okay.
The Resident Evil 3 remake, I'm being sincere, struggled to have in my top 5. For me at least, I played this game, I started excited, and despite some of the complaints or the things that people have an issue with about it, I am familiar with and have definitely played the original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. I think I understand what the developers were going for when they did the 3 remake right behind the 2 remake. And there's a reason that the problems people have with 3 were not problems for me. The pacing is quick. It's a very linear game. The context of backtracking is pretty minimal. The whole problem solving puzzles is pretty minimal. But if you think about, this is a separate video, I think, really to go in depth. But if you look at the pacing of 2 and 3 back to back, and the story design, and the way that they tell themselves, I think 3 works immensely well as a secondary part of that story. And if you look at the originals, the same case is made for how different the games actually are. People kind of forget with nostalgia that 2 and 3 were meant to be different. And I don't know, I've replayed 3. It's the first and only game so far that I've platinumed. And I've gotten all available trophies, and I'm really proud of that. Granted, 3 is a smaller game compared to some of these. I am at like 96% on Resident Evil Village. The only thing holding me up is the Mercenaries mode. otherwise, for the game itself, I've opened and unlocked every trophy. I'm proud of that. So, I don't know. 3 is, I think, underappreciated right now. But give it a few years, and I think 3 really will settle in well.
I just recently started through. I've had it for like 3 years sitting in my library.
When it came out.
I had to actually take it off my shelf over there, and I had to. It was just caked in dust.
Came out like a year and a half ago.
No, it didn't.
Resident Evil 3? It was like 2020.
Okay, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
I'm
bad.
just being a butthead about it.
All right. Yeah, it's just been sitting there though.
2020.
I got it immediately when it came out, and it's just been sitting. My next honorable mention is I wanted to put this on my list really badly, but Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Okay.
For Sega Genesis. I
Sonic 2.
played that game so much back in the 90s. Because I was one of those fortunate kids. My parents weren't rich, but I would just save Christmas for everything, and I'd ask for stuff then. And one
Mega
year,
Man X7, please.
I asked for a Super Nintendo in '92, and in '93 I asked for a Genesis, and then my mom got me it, and she had Sega Sonic the Hedgehog came with it, and then she bought Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for it, and I just played it over and over again. There isn't anything particularly special about it to me. They kind of improved the gameplay, and you could speed yourself up finally, because you couldn't do that in the first one.
Did you know Jim Carrey's not in the original games?
What?
It's crazy.
Yeah, I know he's in the new movie. But it was basically just like, 1, 3, and Sonic and Knuckles. But
Yeah.
it was just so fun to play. And you had Tails in there. They introduced a new character.
You forget the cartoon show, Chili Dogs.
And then you had one more, right?
I did. Jurassic Park, Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo specifically.
That's the top-down one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a hard game.
I used to love this game because I am fiercely a Jurassic Park fan. I love the movie so much. I love the novels so much. And I'm genuinely just love Jurassic Park. And so much of the expanded lore and like world around it, the game was like for me, because I saw the movie for the first time, and then on the Super Nintendo we had this game, and I remember it fondly for that reason. I don't remember how, it's been a while, if it's actually a very good game, in development.
Is that the one where you'd switch into first person?
Yeah, you could go into like those sheds and you switch to this version of first person. It's a bit wonky, but I still remember it fondly. I never beat the game. I'm going to be very distinct about that. It was too hard. I did beat the Game Boy version though.
Oh, you did?
There was a condensed version for Game Boy that was like a shortened with different levels. And I remember very proudly finally beating the Game Boy, and the batteries didn't die while I was trying to play, so that was a plus too. Batteries are things that you used to put in portable devices.
The original Game Boy?
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't be surprised. That one didn't eat through batteries. It didn't have a light, remember?
So
it was just an LED.
I would still sit there for hours trying to play.
Yeah.
And you couldn't like plug it in. It's Jurassic Park. Loved it. But I don't know how well it holds up if I was to replay it now. I remember I used to quit a lot because it just got too difficult.
The only Jurassic Park game I ever owned, or I have Jurassic Park for Sega, but I didn't. Yeah, I had Jurassic Park 2: The Chaos Continues for Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
I never beat one level in it.
I think the only level I ever beat was the Gallimimus level.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I think I beat that one.
At the end of it, the helicopter. Right?
But I could not beat the other
That's
ones.
off topic.
It was hard.
But that brings a conclusion to our top 10.
Conclusion.
Stopping at number 1 and giving a few honorable mentions.
One day we're gonna count Pokemon Go.
You think so?
Probably. I would count Dokkan Battle if mobile games counted on this list.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z. Been playing it since it came out, and I have been dedicated to this. Hey, sponsorships.
Hey, sponsorship.
I've been playing Dokkan Battle for since 2015. I think it came out around Resurrection F's release. So I'm level almost literally 500. Throwing that out there. If there was a peer-to-peer version, I'd say find me in the game.
Well, I'm never gonna play it.
That's alright. You could.
I might. Well, I've been Dan.
And I've been Dan.
And he's been Dan. And this is Nerd Dump. We'll see you
Nerd
next
Dump.
time.
Nerd Dump. Resident Evil. Nerd Dump.
Nerd Dump.
Nerd Dump.
Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Matt.
And this is the second half to our top 10 favorite video games.
Of all time.
Can we start that over again?
Oh,
It's really
fine.
All right.